Model warning.
What's up, y'all? I'd like to welcome you guys back to my RC Chop Shop. It's the frequent flyer, and I have been down because of the weather, I guess. Being out there in the cold and everything, I got sick again. But I'm back, and we have the X-Wing here. The X-Wing fighter, the Death Star, and the transmitter here. Now, I caught this on clearance at Walmart for 30 bucks. And I really didn't like the way it flies. I think that it's a nicely designed model, though. It seems like it can be made into a model that's very sporty or whatnot, but this one isn't that sporty. It flies, but it doesn't fly sporty in its form that it's in now. It seems like it's a little light. Seems like it's pretty light. It flies kind of light, but just no maneuverability. I think that's because of the flight controller that they put in. They didn't program it to be very maneuverable. So that's why we have it here at the Chop Shop. Thinking about chopping this thing up, putting something else in here. Maybe, more than likely, a F3 board is going to go in here. I don't have any plans for the Death Star. This thing is, for the most part, just a coaxial helicopter that you can't control. It just flies on its own. I think it has sensors at the bottom or whatever to have it hold its height and stay in relatively the same spot, but it doesn't work very well. Very often I found it like hitting the floor and bouncing, flying all over the place. But that's the Death Star, and we're about to get into something on this X-Wing fighter. Chop Shop. Okay, so we got a few options of flight controllers. We got the F3 SP Racing Evo board here. We got a little tiny one here. Same thing. This one's from Ishin SP Racing, based on the F3 Evo. And here we got the Ski Sky, or Sci Sky, some people like to say. This one has a DSM-2 receiver in it that auto binds, so that's a good option. I'm thinking about that one there. This one is an Alien Wii. But this one, I think this one is a little too fat for the hull to fit in there. More than likely, it'll probably be one of these two. The Ski Sky, or maybe this little tiny one. Leaning more towards the tiny one. The Ishin F3 SP Racing Evo. You guys know we always keep a few options of flight controllers here at Hangar 51. But let's get this thing open. So we cracked it open. Worst comes to worst, I might end up cutting this here so you can slide the battery in. Yeah, that might be what's going to happen. Time to break out the soldering iron. Okay, so this is what we have here. After removing all the wires and everything. So we're going to mount the flight controller on this and then put it back into there. I think what I'm going to do is cut away this part here to allow for the battery to be inserted that way. And even though there's a screw mount there, I think that won't do too much as far as it going back together, because it does have these 4 screws here to close it and these 2 here, so it'll just be a little loose in the back there, which I want it to be in order for me to be able to insert the battery comfortably. So let's get to it. So now I decided to go with the tiny Ishin F3 board, and it was I'm using this tiny DSM-2 receiver here, and I had a hard time getting this thing to register in clean flight and beta flight. I did flash beta flight to this, but the problem was this is a PPM receiver here, and I was just hooking it up along the side of here. This here being RX3 at the very top there. Let me see if I can get in closer so you guys can see. This being RX3, so it wouldn't work there for PPM, and I ended up having to go online to see what other people were doing, and I saw that somebody put their signal wire all the way over to this UART here on RX2, as opposed to over here with the rest of everything else aligned with that. So I moved it over to RX2, and sure enough, PPM is now working. So got everything hooked up on here on a little tiny eSheen. This does have buzzer pads as well. These two little notches here are buzzer pads. I don't know which is positive and negative yet. I do have a picture of the pinout. I'll put the pinout up on the screen for you guys that I have right now. And yeah, I guess I don't know if I'm going to put a buzzer there. I was thinking about wiring up these lights to these buzzer pads, thinking that maybe at LVC it'll cause the lights to flash. But I don't know. Logically, it seems like that's what should happen, but we'll find out. Let's get it. We're almost there. So I decided to scrap the LEDs, and I'm just keeping the physical LEDs inside there still, just for cosmetics. But they're not going to be working. I actually desoldered the wires from them. So let's get this thing back together and see how it flies. Okay, so I finally got this thing together, and I did make some changes too off camera. I actually added some Spintech motors in these right here. I got some Spintech motors in, 7mm motors. And so what I did was it was too hard to remove these motor pods here and slide the wire all the way through again from the motors. So what I did was cut and splice the motors. I cut the original ones off, cut the wires to them, and cut the new Spintech motors short. And I actually spliced the wires there, put some electrical tape on it, some liquid electrical tape I put on it, and I just put them back up in there. So now we have Spintech motors in here, but it still doesn't seem powerful enough for FPV. I just left that part out anyhow, because later I plan to do some upgrades to this thing. One of the upgrades I plan to do is to add 8.5mm motors, Spintech motors that is, to be exact. I plan to add those on, and the board was acting a little funny, so I actually put a F3 SP Racing Evo board in here instead of the tiny eSheen one. So there's a full size one in here now, and I did go with a different receiver as well. I went with a satellite receiver. As you can see, I have the wire coming out of the bottom there, and I have it mounted on the bottom, diversity antenna there. So yeah, so I did make a few changes, and we're going to check this thing out. But I know you guys are probably wondering, how am I going to add 8.5mm motors to it? Well, actually, it's going to be simple, I think. This is the frame from a JXD model that was modeled after a dinosaur, and I just used the inner frame from it. I think I used the motors for something, so what I'm going to do is just use these motor pods here. The carbon fiber boom is the same size, so I'm just going to screw these off of here and fit them on there. But that's for another episode. Right now, we're going to check this thing out in Acro mode, and I have angle mode on here as well. Well, air mode and angle mode to be exact. We're going to check this thing out, and it's really not powerful enough for FPV. I don't think. I tried with a hover, and it seems like any extra weight is just going to make this thing very sluggish. So we're going to wait till we add the 8.5mm motors to it to actually add the FPV. But for now, let's check out a line of sight of this thing. Okay, so we're out here with the X-Wing Acro. I'm kind of pumped to see how this thing is going to fly now. We're going to test it out in angle mode, flying it with the Devo. It's on DSM-X protocol. And I did add a buzzer on this thing, and it seems like the buzzer, the voltage meter is set too high. Maybe I need to lower it, because the buzzer just constantly goes off. Well, that's what it did indoors when I tried it. But let's test this thing, see how it does. Okay, so we up. And here's the buzzer making noise. So it does fly though. A little wobbly. Maybe I have to adjust some pigs. And I was thinking maybe I might remove the buzzer. If that doesn't work, I think I have to lower the I think I have to lower the alarm point, the point where it alarms. So let's try it in Acro. It's in Acro now. I'm scared to try a flip. It doesn't seem to have enough power to do a flip. Let's go back to angle mode. So it's buzzing, constantly beeping, but it does fly though. Oh, I thought I was gonna hit some of those twigs on the branches, so I think we should probably land it now. Looks awesome. Bring it in. So that's it. It's the X-Wing Acro. Thanks for watching.